I'd like to call to order the September 1st, 2009 meeting of the Louisville Planning and Zoning Commission and announce that we have a quorum present. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the August 18th, 2009 meeting. Do I have any corrections or questions or issues with the meeting minutes from any of the commissioners? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from Bill to approve the meeting minutes of the August 18, 2009 meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, meeting minutes are approved. Item 3 on the agenda is the public hearing consent agenda plats. Item 3A is the final plat of DCTA Hebron Station Addition, Lot 1, Block A, a 9.26 acre tract zone public use located on the south side of Lakeside Circle, south of Hebron Parkway. David.
The proposed plat is on the consent agenda because it meets all the requirements of our general development ordinance. It is a replat. It's an existing platted lot, and the purpose of the replat is simply to add some easements and then to delete some other easements. But the shape and the size of the lot really isn't changing.
Any change in the number of parking places?
The plat doesn't show parking spaces. This is just the plat of the lot, so they can add and delete easements.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on item 3A. Anyone wishing to speak for or against item 3A can come forward, sign in, speak your name, tell us your story. If there is no one,
Make a motion to close public hearing.
thank you, Karen.
Second.
Second from James. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, public hearing is closed on item 3A. Do we have any comments or questions, any additional information from any of the commissioners? Not, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from Bill to approve item 3A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. Item 4 is the regular hearing plats. Item 4A is the final plat of Vista Ridge Addition, lots 1RA and 1RB, Block L, a 23.25 acre tract zone, light industrial, located on the southeast corner of State Highway 121 and Lake Vista Drive. David.
As indicated, this is, again, a replat of an existing lot. The original lot, a little bit, roughly 20 acres, 23 acres, is the entire triangular-shaped piece of property on the overhead. The owner is proposing to divide the existing lot into 2 lots with the lot line running east and west. There's an existing office building that was constructed within the last year or so on the lot at the south, and the proposed second lot at the intersection is currently vacant, and there are no plans at this point for a development there, although it is zoned light industrial. There is a variance associated with this plat. Our general development ordinance requires that when you plat or site plan property adjacent to an intersection which includes either 4 or 6 lane roadways, that the developer dedicate right-of-way and either build or post an escrow to pay for a right turn lane. This is a blow-up of the intersection of Lake Vista Drive and Highway 121 tollway. The developer has agreed to dedicate right-of-way for a future construction of a right turn lane, however, has asked for a variance to waive the requirement to construct or post an escrow. The staff analysis of the request indicates that At this point in time, a right turn lane is not required or is not needed based on existing traffic. As most of you are probably aware, Lake Vista Drive, at least at this point from 121 South, basically loops between MacArthur Boulevard and Highway 121. It's not really considered a through street and doesn't really have through traffic. It serves office buildings that face either side of it, and the city park is down there and the amphitheater. But as far as through traffic goes, there really isn't very much. Some traffic counts that the city took back in February of this year indicated that there is a heavy right turn movement existing. However, there's already a two-lane approach at Highway 121, and in response to the counts that we took back in February, we've already designated the drive lanes so that the right lane is for right turns only, and the center lane is for through traffic. Obviously, there's no left turn traffic because it intersects a one-way service road. The through traffic is very minimal, so we don't see any need to have an additional lane here for quite some time, if ever. Most of the property along Lake Vista Drive is already developed, and so we wouldn't expect a significant increase in traffic unless there's some unexpected change in land use or traffic patterns. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. Staff is recommending the variance just based on the fact that we don't feel that, given all the circumstances, there really is a right turn lane required in addition to the two lanes that are already there.
Thank you, David. Does anyone have any questions, David, on this one, or any comments?
Yeah, I'll ask a question.
Go ahead.
David, do you anticipate the traffic to increase through that intersection?
Well, there is some vacant property, and of course some of the buildings are not fully occupied, so there probably will be an increase, but it would have to increase significantly before there would be a need for another lane approaching that intersection. Right now, at peak hour, there's roughly 100, and I think I want to say 167 through 167 through movements, which is very light during a peak hour, and 400 and some odd right turns. And so we've already gone out and restriped and re-signed the intersection so that the right turners have their own lane, and the few people who do choose to go straight through the intersection have their own lane, and it's way more than sufficient.
I guess what I'm thinking is, why are we going to require them to dedicate some right-of-way in there if we don't anticipate having to have a right turn lane?
Well, right-of-way is one of the hardest things to do.
I understand.
You know, once a property is developed, you know, assuming that this property is going to develop at some point in the future, once a property is developed, it's very difficult, if you do need it for right-of-way, to ever get it, because people will put private improvements and other items in that area that will either have to be relocated or purchased or whatever the case may be. So even in cases where it's only marginally possible that we'll need a right turn lane, we still like to get the right-of-way, because that's the one hardest thing to do anytime that you're looking at building an additional lane of traffic at an intersection.
I'm just thinking of the cost of the property that you're asking the people to give up, the developer to give up right now, versus what you're going to get from the developer in the future. So I've been down this road before. That's the reason I asked the question.
Yeah, historically, we've recommended these types of variances on other projects, but have always gotten the right-of-way due to the fact that if you do have to get it later, it's much harder after the property is developed than before the property is developed, simply because of all the, objects and items and private improvements that might get built there.
Pines and bushes and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Exactly, okay.
Anyone else? Any other commissioners? Okay. I think we're good, David. And I think, personally, I think as long as the roadway's been restriped to have the right turn lane, concerning the volume of traffic, we should be good on this one. So does anyone else have any other comments?
Yeah, with it.
If not, do I have a motion to recommend approval?
Open the public hearing first.
This is a regular hearing.
Oh, the regular hearing?
Yes.
Excuse me. Make a motion to approve the item 4A.
Have a motion from Karen and a second from Joy to recommend approval of item 4A. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries on item 4A. Item 5 is public hearing zoning. Item 5A is consideration of a zone change request from specific use district landfill to specific use district landfill. That's interesting. On a 337.268 acre tract located at 801 East College Street, further identified as Louisville Landfill Addition, Lot 1, Block A. The request is being made by Louisville Landfill Texas, LP, the property owners. This is case number PZ 200900909.
The landfill has been in place in Louisville for a number of years, and when they did some expansion several years ago, they came through and the city had changed the ordinance from the time that they originally started and required landfills to go into a specific use district zoning category. In Louisville, the specific use district zoning category basically requires the developer to put on paper in an engineering site plan exactly what he's going to do. And then once that goes through the review process, then that is taken with the zoning application, and in essence, the property is zoned the way it's shown in that site plan. If there are no changes of substance, then the zoning stays in place, but if you make some changes of substance, then he has to go back through the process again, and that's exactly what the landfill is caught up in now. They have a scale house and an entry road that are currently in place, and they'd like to change them. The entry road currently is here off of Valley Ridge. The scale house, I believe, is up around the corner, and they want to be able to move those, put the new entry road down here to allow for more room for stack for vehicles, trucks, and such coming into the landfill, and have the scale house at this location. Everything is fine in the general development ordinance and the zoning ordinance for what they want to do. It's really a minor modification on the existing condition. But there are two variances. One is to waive the building exterior requirement for the scale house building that requires 80% brick or stone. The other is to allow a 40-foot wide driveway width along Valley Ridge Boulevard. The ordinance provides for a 30-foot wide driveway. They'd like to be able to do a 40-foot wide driveway, and the engineering staff has no problem with the 40-foot driveway and thinks that in this particular use there is some merit to allowing a 40-foot wide driveway. On the exterior building finish requirements, at some point in time, Valley Ridge Boulevard will be a major traffic carrier. There will be lots of traffic going up and down Valley Ridge Boulevard, and this is a building that has access to Valley Ridge Boulevard, so by the ordinance it would be required to be brick or stone. But at the same time, one is a landfill. That variance has been granted for other landfills. The building itself is 600 to 700 feet from Valley Ridge, and there's an existing 8-foot fence along Valley Ridge, so that even as you're driving along Valley Ridge, between the distance of the fence, you really can't see the building. So they've requested to not have to comply with the ordinance that requires the building to have the brick or stone exterior finish. Staff has no problem with that variance request. Are there any questions?
Who maintains the fence?
That's their fence. They maintain it.
Okay, do we have any control over it? City have control over it? If it gets this reputable? An eyesore?
There are certain conditions under which the city does have the authority to go out and tell them to fix the fence up. If the fence is falling down or something, as we would with the homeowner, we can have them put it back together again.
Usually 20 years is about the maximum on a wooden fence before you have to replace it.
Typically.
Okay.
Any other questions?
One last question.
Hi,
The
Joe.
building, so, I don't see it, I'm sure I'm missing it. It's going to be made out of what? What
I was
will
going
the
to same question. Yeah.
metal?
It's a metal building.
Just a metal building?
Mhm.
With- Is that what it's currently? at this time?
Ma'am?
What is it made of now?
It's a metal building now. And then the other landfills, we had another zoning case for the Farmers Branch landfill a few months ago. That was one of their variance requests, and they have an existing metal building. It's like a portable building type exterior finish, or like a mobile home exterior finish, that type of
So it's almost like modular, they come in and drop it into that space?
I don't know that it's a modular building, but it's the same type of thing. And it would be a pretty good distance from the street and would have the fence. So just the distance itself is going to make it awfully small on the horizon, but having the fence there makes it where I don't want to say nobody can see it, but it's not likely that it's going to be anything that's going to stick out.
Okay.
Without the fence, we might, have a little bit different position on it, although the 600 to 700 foot distance still places it pretty far back. And the fact that it's a landfill, even though the building, by their letter, could be there 20 to 25 years, it's still a landfill, and I don't think you really expect to see solid brick buildings in place of a landfill.
Gotcha.
Other questions?
Hey, Gene, so is, you say that we did a variance for another
No,
recently?
The Farmers Branch landfill, Camelot landfill, whatever it was called, they had an existing building or two that they wanted a variance on, and that variance was also granted.
Do we know if there's a reason that do these buildings tend over time to move? Is that why they...
Yes, as the landfill expands and their operation expands, then they pick up everything that's on the site and move it back to another location. They want it as close as they can to the operation, but as the landfill expands, and it'll be expanding for the next, probably 35 to 50 years, they'll be moving it another time or two.
Okay. And why does the ordinance what is the idea on the current ordinance behind having a maximum width of 35 feet on a drive? Do you have any idea what the thought is behind that in the ordinance in the past, why that was put in there? I'm just curious as to...
35 feet is a pretty standard driveway width for driveways that serve truck traffic. Driveway width is typically limited so that the actual point of access is somewhat controlled, and other drivers using the road have some expectation of where vehicles are going to be entering and exiting on the roadway. Whether a driveway is 35 or 40 feet probably isn't a huge difference, but, back in history, there's been cases of, developments that really didn't even have driveways where you could just drive off the site anywhere, and that's very dangerous. So the whole thought is that if you can limit the width of the driveway, it sort of solidifies for the other drivers on the roadway where they can expect to see traffic coming in and out, and 35 feet is pretty typical for a commercial driveway with truck traffic. In this case, they're requesting 40 feet simply because of the way the driveway takes the 90-degree bend to the north, and obviously because of the huge number of very large trucks.
So We're talking about that turn in the upper left corner up there? If they,
Bottom right, bottom middle.
Yeah, actually, the bottom right corner.
oh, that turn.
As you turn into the driveway, within probably 20, 30 feet or so, you're having to make a 90-degree turn, and that's simply because of the existing lake, pond, gravel pit, whatever you want to call it, that's there. I mean, there's really, physically, they have to build the driveway that way unless they fill in the gravel pit, which they intend to do over time, but not at this point.
Okay. Okay, do we have any other questions or
Can I make a
comments?
comment about the driveway?
Sure.
Yeah,
Please.
The common radius, turning radius for a large vehicle or a large truck is about 50 feet. And if 40 feet's good on this, 45 feet would be excellent, because that's going to save on curb damage and having to maintain this type of thing. So, just throw that up for what it's worth.
Okay. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on item 5A. Anyone wishing to speak for or against item 5A can step forward, sign in. Tell us who you are. Once you sign in. Is there a sign-in sheet there, I assume?
Yes, there's one
Okay.
here. Good evening, Chairman Russell and Commission. My name is Steve Homeyer. I'm with Homeyer Engineering. I am the engineer representing this particular project. We also have with us this evening Mark Meadows, the environmental manager for the landfill, and Jason Edwards with Weaver Boos. They are the landfill's engineer. Gene and David have both given you a good explanation of the requested variances and the particulars associated with this particular project, but we're here to answer any questions that you may have that may not have been addressed previously.
Do we have any questions?
They look like they're ready to say something now.
Feel free to say anything you'd like. I don't think there's anything particular than what we've discussed with Gene and David, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against this item? And if not, can I have a motion, please, to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from Bill to close the public hearing on item 5A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing is closed. Do we have any final comments? And if not, do we have a motion for or against this item?
No, I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Bill.
Corrugated metal buildings start showing wear and tear after about 20 years, and comments made in the letter here that they're probably going to move it in about 25 years. That's a long enough period of time. I think they might want to consider putting some masonry fascia on the west face and on the south face, because you can see that from the highway in Valley View, and that would also help to let it last out the period of time, and it won't get, the cost wouldn't be too prohibitive to do that.
Okay. Do we have any other thoughts or comments along those lines? And this is related to the variance of the not having to be 80% masonry. Joy?
Yeah.
James? Anyone? So we are talking 25 years that this will sit probably in that spot. And what happens after that 25 years if you have some masonry on that? You'd pretty much have to tear that down, I would assume, and
It's a dump.
rebuild it. Yeah. And,
They got to dump it right there.
well, by that time, it might actually be it might be a golf course by then, but. Okay. Well, we do have that side of it. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion either way.
make a motion to approve item 5A as presented.
Second?
We have a motion from Karen and a second from Jim to approve item 5A with the two variances. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 5B is consideration of a zone change request from single-family residential, R7.5, to Old Town Mixed Use 1 on a .38 acre tract located at 242 Samuel Street, further identified in the L.M. Keeley Edition, Lot 1, and the, I don't know if that's stated right, and the west 33 degrees of Lot 2, Block A. The request is being made by Manuel Villa Gomez, the property owner. This is case number PZ 20090910.
Okay, this is your property location here. That is the southeast corner of Milton and Samuel. This, again, is a request to change the zoning from R75 residential single-family to Old Town Mixed Use 1, which is essentially a mixed residential category that allows single-family, detached, single-family attached duplexes, and it does allow multifamily when it's on a lot that's greater than 2 acres, although this lot does not fall into that category. It is currently occupied by a single-family home, and the property owner does not have any intentions at the time to redevelop the property, rather just to add an addition to the rear of the home. The property owner is rezoning to take advantage of the better setbacks and more flexible uses in Old Town Mixed Use 1, should he decide to sell the property. His addition actually is not even doesn't even go over the setbacks for R75, so he doesn't technically have to rezone to do his current addition, but wanted to be in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan. The zoning request is in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan, and it is the first property on this block to request a zone change in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan. However, other properties on surrounding blocks have changed their zoning to either Old Town Mixed Use 1 or Old Town Mixed Use 2, but we also have many properties that are still R75 as well as general business in the surrounding area. Just to review, setbacks for R75 for the front is 30 feet, the side is 10% of the lot width, and is 20 feet for the rear. And in Old Town Mixed Use 1, the front setbacks are 0 feet, the sides are 6.5, and the rear is 20 feet. Staff is supporting this item, and because it's in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan, we don't really have any issues with it. I'm happy to hear to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing on item 5B. Anyone wishing to speak for or against item 5B, please step forward. And there doesn't appear to be anyone. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion, close public hearing.
Second.
Motion from Karen and a second from Joy to close the public hearing on item 5B. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing is closed on 5B. Do we have any final comments or a motion for 5B?
Make a motion to approve item 5B as presented.
Motion from Karen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from James to recommend approval of item 5B. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item 5B passes. Item 5C is consideration of a zone change request from general business and agricultural open space to public use on a 2.55 acre tract located at the southeast corner of North Garden Ridge and I-35E northbound. Further identified as the tracts 2 and 3 of the P.K. Wagner Survey, Abstract 1342. The request is being made by Denton County Transportation Authority. The property owner, this is case number PZ 20090911.
The DCTA, being a public governmental entity, is not required to comply with our zoning regulations. They're allowed in all zoning districts, but we prefer, even the city of Louisville, to rezone property public use when we're going to be using it for public purposes. It makes a number of things work better. In essence, it's a housekeeping thing. And so we would point to this particular zoning request. This will be for the North Station, or the Louisville-Howell Village train station. This particular piece of property shown in the yellow on the map is actually going to be the parking lot, the park and ride portion of it. The rail will be where the station itself will be. But they have purchased this property and would like to change the zoning on it to public use. We think it is consistent with what we've all been talking about for a number of years, and would recommend approval of the zone change as requested. Thank
you. Do we have any questions for Gene on this one? If not, then I will open the public hearing on item 5C. Anyone wishing to speak for or against item 5C may step forward at this time. If not, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Motion from Karen. Not very wholehearted motion, but thank you, Karen. Second from Joy to close the public hearing on item 5C. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The public hearing on 5C is closed. Any final comments or questions or motion on item 5C?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Karen. Do I have a second on item 5C?
Second.
Second from Joy to recommend approval of item 5C. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion from Jim, and second from Karen to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting